The perilous climb and a brother's sacrifice. The story begins with 5 people attempting to climb the treacherous, flat-topped mountains of Monument Valley. 3 of them, Royce, his daughter Annie, and son Peter, are a family. The other 2, less experienced, are above them. Suddenly, they lose their footing and start to fall. All 5 are tied together with a single rope, and one by one they detach from the mountain, now suspended precariously. The rope cannot hold their combined weight, and they are moments from plummeting to their deaths. Before they all fall, the 2 people who were highest on the rock, now hanging lowest on the rope, snap their rope and fall to their demise. Now, only Royce, Peter, and Annie remain on the rope, which is slowly slipping. Royce tells his daughter to try and climb the mountain for more support, but her hand can't reach a crevice to secure a clamp. Royce knows what he must do. He is at the bottom, with Peter above him. He tells Peter to take out his knife and cut the rope, sacrificing himself to lighten the load and save his children. Annie begs Peter not to, and Peter is reluctant, but their father knows that if he doesn't, all 3 will die. Royce urges his son, "You know what will happen if you don't cut the rope." Peter is forced to cut it, despite Annie's protests, and Royce falls to his death, sacrificing himself to save his children. 3 years later, a sister's summit and a brother's guilt. 3 years later, Peter is shown to have never climbed a mountain since the accident. He works for National Geographic and, while shooting a documentary, learns that a team is about to climb K2, the world's 2nd highest mountain. He also discovers that his sister Annie is on the team. Annie is now a famous mountaineer. Peter goes to meet her, but she still blames him for their father's death and has never forgiven him. Peter learns that the 5-person team, including Annie, will attempt to reach K2's peak by Tuesday. Among them is a wealthy man named Elliot Vaughn, who owns an airline. On Tuesday, when he's at the summit, his airline's inaugural flight will pass over K2, a publicity stunt for which he's paying everyone handsomely. The night before the climb, Elliot throws a lavish party. A man named Vic, who has climbed K2 before and knows the mountain intimately, approaches Elliot. He asks Elliot what they'll do if the weather turns bad. Elliot boasts that they have a weather expert and that the weather won't change for 2 months. Vic retorts that people die in bad weather on the mountain. He asks, "Who among you will play God? Who will decide who lives and who dies?" Elliot replies that the best climber on the team, Tom, is their leader. Vic then leaves, shaves his beard, and begins his own ascent of K2 in the dead of night. The ascent and the storm. The next day, the 5 climbers set off for K2. At 26,000 feet, they receive a radio warning about an approaching storm. Tom, the leader, suggests they turn back, but Elliot refuses, stating they are only an hour from their first camp and the storm is moving slowly, possibly turning north as the radio suggested. He insists they push on. Despite Tom's reluctance, Elliot and Annie convince him, and the 5 continue their ascent. Back at base camp, Peter is disturbed to learn they are continuing, despite the storm warning. He radios Tom, warning him that the storm is approaching from the south and they will be trapped if they don't turn back. Tom tells Elliot they should return, but Elliot again convinces him to proceed. He reminds Tom that he has climbed Everest twice and would regret turning back from a storm with a low chance of materializing. Once more, the team pushes onward. Peter, watching through binoculars from below, becomes increasingly worried for his sister, having already lost his father. As the 5 climbers continue, the storm suddenly hits with incredible force, making it impossible to see. They move slowly, and then the snow beneath Annie's feet gives way, sending her plummeting between 2 rocks. Since they are all roped together, everyone is pulled along. Annie's rope snags 2 feet above the surface, then snaps, but she's unharmed. However, she's now trapped in a crevasse. The 4 people above are safe, but then a massive avalanche cascades down, trapping 2 more people with Annie in the crevasse and killing 2 others. Now, Annie, Elliot, and Tom are stuck in the crevasse, which is completely covered by snow from above, making escape impossible. The rescue mission and a past revealed. Back at base camp, attempts to contact the trapped climbers via radio fail due to lack of signal. Annie, however, knows Morse code, and so does Peter. She uses Morse code to tap out a message letting her brother know that 3 of them are alive and trapped beneath the snow. Morse code, which their father had taught them as children, allows them to communicate through clicks. Knowing that 3 people are alive and trapped, Peter is determined to rescue his sister. He's told they can't survive more than 36 hours without supplies, and they don't even know where in the rocks they're trapped. Even if they did, how would they dig through the snow? They go to the army, who provide nitroglycerin bombs that can blast through the rocks to reach them. However, many are reluctant to go on such a dangerous journey. But when Elliot's company offers $5 million for anyone who joins the rescue mission, a team forms, ready to go with Peter. Before they leave, Peter is advised to include Vic, the old man who warned them, before they set off and then left for the mountain at night. 4 years prior, a team of 9 Americans, including Vic's wife, a tourist guide, were caught in a dangerous storm on this same mountain. Despite being warned against it, Vic went to search for his wife, but couldn't find her body. He did, however, manage to rescue 3 people, losing several toes in the process. He still searches for his wife's body on the lower peaks, knowing the mountain like the back of his hand. The team first goes by helicopter to Vic, telling him they need his help to reach the 3 trapped climbers. Vic is reluctant. Peter reminds him that he climbed Everest with his father. Vic still refuses, saying everyone up there must be dead. But when he's told about Elliot's company's $5 million reward, Vic agrees. He tells them, "This isn't about setting records. It's a safety team. From now on, you do as I say. Desperate hours and a dark secret." Meanwhile, the 3 trapped climbers are deteriorating due to lack of oxygen and extreme cold, with only 22 hours left. If they aren't rescued within that time, they will die from oxygen deprivation. They have a drug called dexamethasone, which allows them to breathe easily, but they don't have much of it. Tom, who is in the worst condition and was injured in the fall, has lost his drug bag. When Annie tries to help him, Elliot says Tom doesn't need the medicine and will die anyway. He refuses to share his own medicine, saying if they give it to Tom, they will also die. Annie, however, cannot let this happen and injects Tom with a dose from her own supply. Even though they are trapped there because of Elliot, he shows no concern for their lives, only for his own. On the other side, Peter, Vic, and 4 others reach the upper mountains by helicopter, but the rest of the journey must be on foot. They form 3 teams of 2, taking different routes to reach the buried climbers. Peter and Vic are together. As they ascend, Vic tells Peter that he did the right thing cutting his father's rope. His father would have done the same if he'd had a knife. Peter still carries the guilt, which is why he stopped climbing mountains after the accident. He is only climbing now to save his sister. Vic radios Elliot, informing him that they are coming as fast as possible to rescue them. Vic dislikes Elliot, knowing he's not a good person. Annie's condition worsens. Tom tells her to take an injection, but Elliot forbids it, saying she ignored him by giving Tom one earlier and now she'll have to wait. Annie confronts Elliot, asking if he wants to live. She points to a bag with medicine, telling him to get it. The bag, belonging to one of the original climbers, contains more medicine, but it's in a dangerous spot. Elliot is too afraid to go. Annie decides to go herself, risking her life to retrieve the bag. Inside, she finds 4 more tubes of medicine. She gives one to Tom, even though she also needs it. She holds off on taking one for herself to conserve it, knowing she'll need it later to stay alive. Explosions, discovery, and reckoning. Meanwhile, one of the 3 rescue teams, a boy and a girl, are attempting to reach them. The boy slips and dangles from the edge of a cliff. The girl tries to save him, but she too ends up dangling. Their bomb falls from their bag and detonates below. Miraculously, both survive. The boy climbs back up, but then an avalanche sweeps him away, killing him. The girl survives because she was still hanging from the cliff. She eventually reaches Peter. After the massive explosion, the army radios Peter and Vic, warning them not to keep the bombs in the sun, as they will explode. Peter and Vic move their bag into the shade and cover it with snow. They relay the message to their other 2-person team. That team also moves their bag into the shade, but nitroglycerin is leaking from their bomb, causing it to explode and kill them both. The explosion clears a lot of snow, revealing a woman's dead body. It's Vic's wife, who died in a snowstorm on these mountains 4 years ago. He had been searching for her body for 4 years. He touches her cheek and puts her ring on his own finger. He then searches for something in the snow. Peter approaches, showing him a box and asking, "Are you looking for this?" Vic takes the box and opens it, finding no medicine inside. It was his wife's box, and it contained dexamethasone. 4 years ago, when his wife was trapped in the storm, she died of suffocation. If she had been given dexamethasone, she would have lived. Vic had come to save his wife, but it was too late. He had, however, saved 3 people from that incident, including Elliot, who was with his wife. Elliot had claimed in an interview that their medicine box was lost, but Vic knew he was lying. Now, finding the empty box confirms that Elliot took all the medicine for himself and refused to give any to Vic's wife, leading to her suffocation. Vic declares, "I won't let him get away with it." Peter tells him he won't let him kill Elliot. Vic reminds him of their dangerous location at 24,000 feet, where one can barely stand, saying, "No one can save Elliot from me now." Vic then sets off alone. The final sacrifice. At night, Annie radios her brother. They are close enough to talk. She tells him to turn back, as none of them will be alive by the time he reaches them. She says this because her condition is very poor, Tom is almost dead, and Elliot's health is also deteriorating. Peter is at 24,000 feet, and they are at 26,000 feet, meaning it will take him hours to reach them, while Annie estimates they might die in the next 2 hours. Peter refuses to turn back, saying he will reach her no matter what. That night, while Annie is asleep, Elliot goes to Tom and smothers him with an air injection, killing him. When Annie wakes up and sees Tom dead and a syringe nearby, she realizes Elliot killed him so they wouldn't have to share their medicine, allowing Elliot to survive longer. Elliot is attempting a difficult climb upward when Annie attacks him for killing Tom. As they struggle, snow falls from above, revealing a faint light. The hole isn't big enough to escape, so they need to mark the spot for rescuers. Their ink is frozen, so Elliot collects Tom's blood in a bag and blasts it onto the surface, spreading blood everywhere. Meanwhile, Peter takes a shortcut, risking his life to reach them, accompanied by the girl who survived the earlier explosion. When Peter sees the blood, he knows his sister and the others are below. He blasts open the sealed crevasse. He sees his sister, whose condition is dire and can barely stand. He throws down a rope. Elliot ties Annie to the rope, but pulling her up is difficult. As Peter slowly tries to pull her up, the hook supporting his and the girl's rope begins to slip. But before it gives way, someone steps on it. It's Vic. Vic puts Annie back down and starts to descend himself. Peter tries to stop him, knowing Vic intends to kill Elliot. When Vic reaches Elliot, Elliot attacks him, knowing Vic knows about his wife's death and will kill him. But Vic doesn't kill him. Instead, he attaches a hook to Elliot's waist. He had the chance to kill him, but he didn't. Now all 4 of them are on the same rope, with only the girl holding them from above. She cannot hold them for much longer, nor can she pull them up. Vic takes out his knife. Peter understands what he's about to do, recalling his father's sacrifice. Peter pleads with him, "No one is expendable." Elliot, hanging below Vic, screams not to do it, desperate to live. But Vic cuts the rope, and both of them disappear into the deep crevasse. Peter brings his sister Annie and the girl back down to base camp. Annie is still in poor health but will slowly recover. The guilt between the siblings has dissipated. Annie tells Peter that if their father were alive, he would be proud of him, even though he would scold him. Peter kisses his sister's forehead and leaves. Outside, he arranges stones to create a memorial with the names of everyone who died on the mission. The movie ends with this scene.